Okay, this lesson will be on software applications in relation to Accu Inflatables. There's a few links there that you've already seen, but you can have a look at again that may help you understand where we are at the moment with language translation software and things like that. Okay, so these are the learning objectives for this particular session. So, language translation software. As we know, Accu Inflatables work with manufacturers in China, and due to language barriers, language translation softwares are necessary for the companies to do business. Okay, so between the two businesses, obviously they may have people that have got language specialities, multilinguists, but unfortunately this is not always the case. Many companies can provide sort of text-to-text translation, as you can see here, okay, but as you can see, it's quite laborious because you've got to paste in the actual paragraph and then put it on here. It's not particularly a smooth process. Okay, so instant translation. We've all used Google Translate. This can be used in global business. But there can be issues. Okay, just mentioned Google Translate there. Some sites can actually translate whole websites and documents as well as instant online chat. Okay, you might see if you go to Google, there is an option that says translate. Okay, translate the page. Lovely handwriting. Okay, instant online chat has sort of more benefits in that you can, if you're talking to a supplier or if you're talking to a manufacturer who's in another country, speaks another language, it's quite seamless really. It will automatically translate it for you, text to text. So special fonts needs to be installed to cope with the Chinese hieroglyphics that Accu Inflatables will be using. Language translation is affected by the context, which is the situation in which it is used, which could cause errors. Okay, examples are obviously in the UK we have certain regions where people say things that mean different things in different places. Sometimes there are words that exist that only seem to exist in certain places and not others within the same country. So just bear this in mind. And as I just said, colloquial terms may not be able to be translated. Okay, so there's a lot more to think about than just standard text-to-text translation. It's often better to translate a whole page than it is to translate word by word, because some of the words around words will give them more meaning. Okay, speech to speech. We watched a video on this before. It's useful, but it's still in development. I don't think it's quite as quick as the initial first video shows. But basically, it goes from speech to text. There's a translation from speech to text, okay, in the first language, and then this is then translated into the text of the second language, okay, which is then translated into speech, okay, again. So for example, over here we might have English, and over here, I don't know what I can do with red and blue. What language? Let's say French, maybe. Okay, I can't remember what the French flag looks like. But there we go. The English will be translated into the English text. So this computer would recognise the speech and put it into English text. This English text would then be converted into French. The French text would then be converted into French audio, allowing speech-to-speech translation. Okay, computer-aided design. This is another area they want to look at today. This is a widely used software, CAD is. There's many different versions, okay, many different packages. It's definitely a widely used software. It allows the design of products using a computer, okay, so as you can see there's some examples down here. It's very expensive. You can create 3D designs that can be manufactured straight from the design file, so you create the file in such a way as it can be loaded onto a computer that is connected to a robot or a machine that will just create it straight off, okay, and it's great for large projects like vehicles and buildings, but also useful for other projects. Now you'll need to take into consideration the scale of your production before you obviously set about using CAD. If you're making two objects, it's probably not worth buying a computer-aided design package and a computer-aided manufacturer robot to build these projects. But if you're making a large amount of products or large-scale products, then it's probably a good idea. You can really zoom in and get to see in detail your designs, okay, which is great. And you can add layers, as you can see the different layers applied in these two images here, and see how different designs can look from different perspectives. So CAD, drawings are stored electronically with huge levels of detail, okay, such as measurements and layers of fixtures, materials. Okay, it's useful for keeping backups, which we can put on the cloud, okay, which can be accessed by the Chinese manufacturers in the case of Aqua Inflatables, and they can obviously use those to start manufacture or to edit them and send them back. Can be emailed to manufacturer for printing or creating straight from design file using a computer controlled machine. So can be emailed, or like I said, can be on the cloud. That can be the way that they share them. They can print them in China if they needed to from this email or from the sharing of it on the cloud, or they can load them straight into the file. Okay, you may have other people in other parts of the country who may want to print them and work on them, or work on them and re-upload them. That's another good thing about CAD, that you can, people can work on it at the same time. Whereas with paper-based designs, obviously that's not possible unless you're in the same room. In terms of measurements and layers of fixtures and materials, it can give you an idea of how much material you need and how big something is actually going to look compared to another section of it. So, advantages of CAD: it's more accurate than hand-drawn designs. Okay, naturally computers are better at accuracy than humans. You can create designs by modifying old designs. So if you just want to make a minor adjustment, you don't have to draw the whole thing again, which you might have to do if you were doing it by hand. Okay, you can view in detail through the zoom. We talked about that, so you can really zoom into the parts that you want to work in and work on a small scale or a larger scale. Move whole sections or just move tiny bits of sections. You can copy and paste objects within design. If you've got a repeating design, a repeating pattern, then you can just copy and paste that instead of having to redraw it over and over again. And frequently used objects can be stored for later use, and many are built into packages when you actually buy them. So, for example, in the case of if you were building an inflatable boat, there may be a life jacket section, okay, that's always the same on all boats to comply with certain legislation. Okay, so if you were designing a boat, this is me designing a boat. Okay, here's the front, here's the sides, it's the bit where your wheel would be, where you steer. Brilliant. I know what you're thinking. It's a brilliant design. And there may be a section here that you leave free, and then you just put in a frequently used object. For example, in this case, the life jacket holder. Okay, always the same shape, always the same design. You've got a standard one that you use in the industry, and you just leave a space big enough for it, and then you can just drop that straight in. Okay. Cost. Very expensive. Okay, CAD packages are very expensive. Workers need to be trained in how to use them, and CAD software requires systems to function. Now you need to have decent computer systems if you want to use CAD, which need to be bought, so that is a cost. Okay, backup systems need to be installed to store valuable designs. Okay, if you're going to have your design and you're going to work on it, okay, you don't want to lose it, you need to back it up somewhere else. Okay, so you've got 2 copies of it, okay, which obviously you need that storage space if you want to do that. And also the potential for a loss of jobs, because a computer will be complete and some of the time would have completed. Okay, computer aided manufacture, CAM. Okay, now CAM you'll see referred to in your exam like that. It uses the designs that are made in CAD, and a robot can create an exact real-life replica of designs in a process known as computer aided manufacture. So CAM is the use of specialist computer software to automatically operate manufacturing machines. Okay, so if you've got a computer here like this, and you've got a cable, you've got a robot over here with a robotic arm. Okay, here's his robotic arm. doing all the work, building all the boats and things like that. In here you've got the CAD designs that you've drawn, okay, that are loaded onto the CAM package, that then go down the lines and make the robot build the particular boat that you've decided to do. In the case of Aqua Inflatables, Aqua Inflatables can use this process to have their exact designs produced in a place where production costs are lower. Now, in terms of working in different countries, often sometimes you're unsure of what you think you're getting will be the same in another country, okay, depending on how the measurements they use, and potentially just cultural differences. Sometimes you never quite know, you know, unless you're sat in a room with someone, whether they've got the idea that you're trying to put across, okay. Even with video conferencing, sometimes you know, you may have one thing in mind and then something else may be produced, okay. So with CAM and CAD, because they're computer programs that are that work together well, and they're basically, there's one particular kind of compatibility, you know they're compatible, so you know you're going to get what you designed. CAM ensures materials are not wasted as well, as they can calculate exactly what you need, and so we don't use you know, large bits that we don't need, or use the centre of materials, and all the sort of scrap materials can be planned so that they can be used into other projects. Okay, this point has just been repeated. CAM is also faster than traditional manufacturing due to the automated nature of the work, and this will also reduce errors. Okay, so it doesn't matter how fast it goes, there will be a lot less errors than if a human was to complete the work. Such is the nature of obviously a robot, and a robot performing work like this. An automated production line can be expensive to set up, okay? They don't need holidays though, that's one good thing, robots. Okay, in terms of the advantages of CAM, it can produce accurate large-scale operations. It can operate 24/7 without lower quality products. If you work a worker 24/7, by the end of the 24 hours you're probably not going to get a high quality of product. It doesn't need breaks or holidays, it doesn't need maintaining though. It's useful for large-scale projects as much time is saved, and all the products will be identical, helping to work out what costs, which help in business. Again, disadvantages: the startup costs are very large, it's not cost effective for a small scale production, and you have to train your staff in how to use it, otherwise they will be unhappy and will not be able to produce the quality of product through not being able to actually operate the machines or use the CAD and CAM packages together. Okay, right then, I'd like you to at a question for me, please. The question is: discuss the advantages and disadvantages of using CAD and CAM for, guess who? Come on, select. Add text. Aqua Inflatables. Now this is going to be an 8 marker, okay? If I were going to do this myself, I would start this by talking about CAD, then CAM, how they link together, advantages and disadvantages of both, obviously going from one to the other for each one, and then I would make sure I always apply it to the case study. So, for example, Aqua Inflatables can use CAD to do this. Aqua Inflatables can use CAM to do this. The reason they may use it to do this is because, okay, it's good for this, it's not so good for this, this is an advantage of it, this is a disadvantage of it. Okay, so make sure you weigh it up and have a balanced conclusion to your answer. Okay, obviously we're going to be in favour of using these methods because these are the latest technology, and this is a technology that is proven. Okay, good luck with it. Make sure you revise hard, and I'm sure you will be fine.